1.2 grams is the airframe, and to put that in perspective, a dollar bill weighs about 1 gram. This is a model airplane that we use in international competition. It's designated F1D by FAI, and basically it's a set of rules: 55 centimeter wingspan limit, 20 centimeter chord limit. The weight of the model has to be more than 1.2 grams, and the motor that we fly it with, I call it a motor, but it's a rubber band, it has to weigh less than 0.6 of a gram. Some of the things that might not be immediately apparent, the motor stick here is actually a 13 thousandths wall thickness piece of balsa that's rolled into a 1/4 inch tube. The main structure of the airplane is balsa wood because that's still one of the strongest and lightest materials that we have. It's reinforced. There's boron filaments glued on the sides of the motor stick for stiffness. There's tungsten bracing wires here supporting the wing, and another tungsten bracing wire on the motor. And this one has a fixed pitch prop, but the other ones that I fly in competition actually have a variable pitch mechanism. So on this model that weighs only 1.2 grams, it's got a torque actuated variable pitch propeller that, in reaction to the torque of the motor, starts out at high pitch with less thrust so it doesn't outclimb your flying sight. And then near the end of the flight, when the rubber motor has less torque, the propeller changes to a lower pitch to get more thrust and use up the remaining energy. And that's all in a mechanism that weighs about 1/10 of a gram. These models are limited to 55 centimeters and a weight limit. For a long time there was a barrier of an hour. There were people who were in the upper 50 minutes, but a lot of people not quite able to break that hour barrier. And since that point, there have been 2 people that have done it. Steve Brown, who's a 3-time world champion in F1Ds, he was the first person to break the record. He did an unofficial flight of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 54 seconds, and then did an official flight of 1 hour and 1 second. So I got him right over it, and that's the world record. And then since then, I've been the second person to break the hour, and I did a 1 hour, 1 minute and 30-second flight. There are so many variables that come into play to get a model to fly. In the World Champs, you get 6 rounds to fly, and the best 2 flights count, and that's not a lot of flights. So when you fly every single flight, it has to have the highest chance of turning in the best time that you can turn in. So, eliminating all of the weak points, just working out, your process so that you have, the exact same way that you hook up the model every time, you finish winding a motor. Just all of those variables that come into play. I love that kind of challenge. One of the questions I got was, when I touch the film, some oils and residue, does that affect the flight? And that's not enough material to cause a weight imbalance on it. However, we've had times in competitions where a fly will land on the film, and I've had one that landed on the stab, and that's enough weight to affect the flight. So this model with a fly on the stab will start stalling and mushing, and it took me a minute to figure out, like, why is my plane all of a sudden not flying properly, but that'll do it. Well, one of the things is kind of by the nature of it, we do it in, secluded places that are, draft-free hangars that not a lot of people have access to. So by the very nature of it, it doesn't get a lot of exposure. I don't think that I've met anybody who's seen them fly that hasn't been very impressed by the models and kind of amazed at, how they look in the air, including myself the first time that I saw them. So, I think this is just a fantastic opportunity to, get other people to sort of see what this is about.